You've heard the old story. For 2 months, setting out from one monastery on a long journey to the other, coming to a river crossing and seeing a woman standing there crying. I'm afraid to cross. The current's so strong, but I must get across. I have to. Without a word, one monk just walks up to her, picks her up, carries her across the river, sets her down on the other side. So he and his companion continue walking, and after an hour or so, the brother looks at his brother and he says, "Is something troubling you?" "Well, yes, there is. It's really bothering me. You know, in our order, we have strict rules not to touch a woman. And yet, we see this woman, this stranger, standing on the bank of a river, and you just pick her up, and you carry her across and set her down without any consideration of our rule." He says, "Yes, brother, I did that." He says, "But whereas I set the woman down on the opposite bank of the river, you seem to have carried her now for these 2 miles. The question of Lent for me is, which monk am I when I carry a burden? Am I willing to set that burden down and leave it? Or am I the type that has to hold on to it and carry it?" Here we are in Lent, and it's a time, visions of cat o' nine tails, and mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Oh, what horrible people we are. And that's enough to make me want to say, well, I want to deny it. I'll just keep walking. I'll kind of carry it behind me. But I don't want to address whatever it is that's holding me back from being that person that God called and created me to be. In the penance of Lent, I hear penitential. In the word penitential, I hear punishment and fear and all that goes along with it. Whereas in reality, Lent is a time of the penance of cleansing. This day, this Lent, is the opportunity for you and for me to look at whatever burden it is we're carrying. And I consider sin to be a burden. Whatever burden it is we are carrying, and to decide once and for all, are we going to set it down and leave it? Can I do that? Now, St. John Cassian, he gets awful personal for me in Philokalia because he talks about the primary sin being gluttony. And that happens to be my favorite. So, perhaps in Lent, what I need to do is, when I sit down to a meal, do I really need that large of a portion? It can be as simple as that. And then, yahoo, at the end of Lent, I can eat as much as I want, right? Again, that's often the error I have brought many times to Lent, and maybe you have too. That, well, it's just 40 days. No. Maybe it's the smaller portion I need throughout my life. So if I do have a tinge of hunger when I get up from my meal, I'll have a bit more compassion on that person sitting in the street in New York City who doesn't know where his or her next meal came from. We're on a long journey. And it's not just 40 days. This is the beginning of a journey, the beginning of an opportunity. Which monk will you be like?